Hey, improving your English pronunciation is not as difficult as you thought. There are some smart ways in which you can tackle English pronunciation. And in today's lesson, I'm going to share with you one such way to improve your English pronunciation remarkably in a short span of time. Before that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, why don't you subscribe and press the bell icon so that you will be notified when we upload our next lesson. So, the crux or the most important part of today's lesson: how can we have a remarkable improvement in the way we pronounce words and in our accents in a short span of time? As you know, pronunciation is sometimes tricky. It is difficult to learn as well because we mispronounce most of those words in English language. One way to tackle English pronunciation is actually learning sounds of English language. Sounds or phonemes. Phonemes are the set of sounds that are there in a language. So English has its own set of sounds or phonemes. There are 44 of them. And it's perfectly alright to have slight difference in pronunciation of these sounds. But just imagine, if the difference is so big, if you are pronouncing sounds completely different from the way it is pronounced by native speakers, you're going to sound really different. Completely different. And that's the reason why our English pronunciation is so much different and our English accent is so much different from that of native English speakers. In today's lesson, I'm going to share with you 5 such sounds or phonemes of English language which are commonly mispronounced by us. And correcting those sounds, correcting and pronouncing those sounds correctly will have a fantastic improvement in the way you sound in a short span of time. Basically, in no time, you're going to sound a lot better if you get these sounds right. Let's look at the first sound. T of teacher, tip, trip, team, task, toy, etc. Now, how to pronounce this sound? When you pronounce T, you have to make sure that your tip of the tongue touches the alveolar ridge. Alveolar ridge is a ridge right above the upper teeth. And if it touches the alveolar ridge, naturally you're going to get the sound right. Tip, team, trip, teacher, toy, task, etc. So you're going to pronounce all these words correctly if you get this sound right. And how do we usually pronounce it in India or Indian subcontinent? Indian subcontinent means countries including Pakistan, Bangladesh, of course India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, etc. So in the Indian subcontinent, when we pronounce this sound, our tongue goes all the way back to the roof of the mouth and touches the hard palate. So basically we pronounce like P, teacher, toy, task, tip, etc. And which is completely different from the T of English language. T, teacher, toy, task, tip, etc. Now, make sure that your tongue doesn't go all the way to the roof of the mouth or hard palate when you pronounce these words. And the second sound is a very similar one. D. D. D of data, day, during, and duke, etc. And this is pronounced very much like the T of task, toy, tip, etc. Now, how is D of dark, day and duke different from the T of task, team and tip? Yes, they are very similar. They're very similar in their production. Or you produce this sound with the same tongue position, tip of the tongue touching the alveolar ridge in case of D as well as T. But the difference is one of them, D of day, is actually produced with vocal tract, sound coming from the vocal tract, so you can feel vibration there. In the vocal tract you can feel vibration. But T of team or tip, it is voiceless sound, which means there is no vibration of the vocal tract. So basically, same tongue position, D, data, during, day, etc. So make sure that in this case as well, your tongue goes to the alveolar ridge, not to the roof of the mouth. And again, if it goes back to the roof of the mouth, you will pronounce it like day, dark, dear, during, etc. No, that's not very correct. That's a lot different from the way it is pronounced by native English speakers. And we have to improve our pronunciation, right? And that's why we are here. So make sure that you pronounce it with your tongue touching the alveolar ridge. Now the third one in today's list is w. W of water, what, when, where, which and why. W. And this is another commonly mispronounced one. We are basically not able to distinguish w of water, where, what and why with v of van, vet, vet, vein, etc. We are not able to distinguish, but if you want that fantastic accent, you basically have to get it right. W of water is a bilabial sound, which means you make this with your lips. It is produced in a lip position that is like as if you are going to kiss someone. W, water, what, where, when, why, which, etc. On the other hand, when you pronounce v of van, your lower lip meets the upper teeth, and it is called a labiodental sound. And as I said, w of water is so much different from v of van. One is labiodental, v of van is labiodental, and water, where, which, when and why, w is bilabial. So you shouldn't have your lower lip meeting the upper teeth when you pronounce water, where, which, when, why, etc. You got it. Now let's move on, shall we? Next important sound is p. And the interesting thing about this sound is that no one knows that we mispronounce this one. We usually mispronounce it, but no one knows that we mispronounce. P of Peter, paper, pepper, pet, port, etc. P. And how to pronounce it? It is called a plosive sound. So you close your lips, so stopping the airflow and suddenly releasing it. Suddenly releasing the airflow from your mouth. P, p. So you can listen to a blast or an explosion, a mini explosion. P, paper, pepper, port, pet, etc. You got it. But what happens when most of us pronounce is that our lower lip goes between the teeth, like paper, paper. It's like more like a biting effect. But that shouldn't happen when we pronounce p. Again, it is a plosive sound. So there must be a blast of air. There must be a sudden release of air when you pronounce p. P, Peter, paper, pepper, port, etc. And it is the same case with b as well, but the difference, as I said earlier, it's very slight. In case of t and d, we've seen one is t is voiceless and d is voiced. The same way, p is voiceless and b is voiced. So basically you can feel the vibration here. Boy, boy, not boy, boy. So Peter, pepper, paper, port, etc. And in the same way, b as well, it is a plosive sound. So make sure that when you pronounce these words, there is a sudden release of air. And that's why we call them plosive sounds. Plosives release air through the oral cavity that is previously closed. And close your lips, open it suddenly, you got it right. So easy. Now the last one in today's list, but by no means the least important one, TH, the sound produced by TH. Let's look at it. This TH can make two different pronunciations. One, the of that, which is a voiced sound, and then the of thanks, which is a voiceless sound. In all the small words, like structure words, this, that, those, there, thy, thee, etc. In all these words, TH is a voiced consonant. That, there, this, thy, those, etc. But in other, usually content words, TH is voiceless. Thanks, think, thought, etc. But bear in mind, there are exceptions as well. As you know, English language, there are quite many exceptions. So there are exceptions as well. But generally, when we have content words starting with TH, usually they have voiceless sound. Thanks, think, thought, etc. And at the end, if TH is at the end of a word, usually they are voiceless. So path, earth, with. By the way, with can also be pronounced with. With, or with. But smooth, it goes with a voiced consonant, so smooth is another exception. So usually when words end with th sound, they are usually pronounced with voiceless consonant. But if there is an e at the end, usually it gets voiced consonant. For example, bathe, not bathe, bathe. So you got the difference. So we've seen a number of English phonemes and correcting those phonemes will actually have a lot of improvement in the way you sound, in the way you pronounce words, and of course in your accent in a jiffy, in a short span of time. And that's what we are looking for, right? Of course that's what we are looking for. Time is money. As they say, time is money. We don't want to spend a lot of days, so many days looking to correct pronunciation. So make sure that you pronounce these sounds correctly. And why we had these sounds in today's lesson is that these are some of the important sounds which we usually mispronounce. But of course there are other sounds as well. But as I said, other sounds, mispronunciation, if it is a slight mispronunciation, it's perfectly alright. It's not going to make a lot of difference in the way we sound. But if the difference is so big, like teacher, task and teacher, task, you know that they are so much different, and that's why we had these 5 sounds in today's lesson. So make sure that you pronounce these sounds correctly so that you can have that fantastic, wonderful, marvelous pronunciation in a short span of time. And before we bid adieu, make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and press that bell icon as well. And if you've enjoyed the lesson, please make sure you like it. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions or comments, please do share them in the comment box. Peace.